everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel Ray, and today it is your favorite day of the week. It's Tuesday, and therefore it is the Weird and Wacky with Mr. Ray. Say hello, Mr. Ray.
Hi, Mr. Ray.
What do you need?
That's mine.
No, this is mine. That's yours.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Oh.
We got beverages. Please get your beverage.
Yeah, that is mine, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And today we are going to be talking about Mount Shasta.
Mount Shasta, yeah.
Awesome. So if you are new here and you haven't seen this series before, this is basically where I diamond paint. My husband tells us about some weird and wacky stuff.
About some of his stupid preoccupations, yeah.
He's got very detailed notes.
I actually do, yeah. Today I have crazy.
Oh my goodness.
Can you see that?
You have notes?
No? It goes on to a second page.
Whoa. Wow, I'm proud of you. That's unusual now. So, just a little detail about the painting itself. This is Kimono by Dye Moon Shop or DIY Moon Shop. I have all the links to all the stuff that I'm using in the description box of this video, which you can find just underneath. And without further ado, we're actually just going to get right into it.
I suppose we are, yeah.
I suppose we are.
Yeah.
Also, I only have these two little sections left. I'm so excited. I've been working on this painting since the end of 2019.
I remember. Really?
Yeah.
Gee. It looks like you're.
It looks amazing though, doesn't it?
Do you think, would you be able to finish that today?
No.
No.
If you, all of this, there's a lot of confetti.
Aha,
Yeah, exactly.
I know the technical terms.
So I will finish it this week though, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's coming out nice. I like those, the little flowers in it.
Yeah, these are this is like an enhancement pack that you can get. So the normal diamond painting doesn't have any special diamonds. There's no metallics or ABs. Well, they might give you ABs, but there's definitely no flowers unless you buy them extra.
What are ABs?
ABs are Aurora Borealis. They have this iridescent coating on the top.
Oh, okay.
So there's one of them in here. They call them prism. They're like black.
I can kind of see them, yeah.
And these ones are the metallics. They call them old gold.
Old gold.
Do you see when I lift it up?
That might actually be relevant to what we're talking about
Ooh,
today.
very good.
Yeah.
Segue.
All
right, let's get into it. Tell us the story.
I suppose like Mount Shasta is one of those places that's, it's just huge in the world of like, esoteria and, like weirdness and stuff. And I guess like it was internet weirdness before the internet existed.
Okay, but where is it?
It's in Northern California.
Okay.
It's at the kind of, at the, the end of the Cascades. Do you know the Cascade Mountains?
No.
It's like a mountain range. I think I don't know exactly where it is, but it's somewhere up in the Pacific Northwest and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
And it would run down through the Cascades, as far as I know, the mountains in Washington and in Oregon and places like that are the Cascade Mountains.
Okay.
And it runs down through there, and I guess it's at the southern end of the Cascades, which would be in Northern California.
Okay.
And it's a volcanic mountain.
Uh-huh.
And it's not unlike Mount Fuji, in Japan.
Yeah.
So it's like a conical mountain and all that. And there's some argument among volcanologists, I believe, as to whether it's still active or not. There's activity in the area, but as to whether it'll ever have a big explosion again, it's kind of unclear.
There's a lot of seismic activity in that region, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean it's part of the San Andreas fault, I'd imagine,
Yeah.
But like I don't have photos of it or anything, but you can look up photos of it, and I mean it's not unlike Fiji, you know what I mean, or Fuji, sorry, where where it's got
like a idealistic.
It's got a very
it looks like a volcano.
Yeah, it's got a very definite conical kind of shape to it.
Like a beak.
Yeah, not quite as iconic, but at the same time it's kind of breathtaking, and you'll see it from a terrible distance, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's an amazing kind of thing. And it's been a nexus for I guess like woo and kind of spiritual stuff, and it's one of those things. I've never really looked into it because it's one of those places where it's so iconic and it becomes a thing that like anybody looking to peddle like woo or anything like that will literally just be like, oh, you know, Shasta, that's a brand name, let's push it in. You know what I mean? That kind of way, and it's big like that. And it's been big in an awful lot of movements.
So you get a lot of religious types.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you do, yeah. I mean, there's like, you know, Mount Shasta City as well has a lot of, like it has, you know, one of the first Buddhist monasteries in America, and there's an awful lot of like I don't know, I haven't researched it that carefully, but I would be comfortable saying that there is a higher density of crystal shops per head of capita than almost anywhere else in America.
Well, I don't want to bore you with some history, but there would have been a lot of Japanese living in that area, I believe, if I have the story straight, right before Pearl Harbor. Up until then.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then they were sent to concentration camps, basically. So
yeah,
it's not surprising to me that you said that there's like one of the first Buddhist monasteries. Like that would make sense.
Okay,
Yeah.
But there would be an awful lot of kind of New Age stuff going on. There's theories as well about Mount Shasta being, you know, one of the Earth's chakras.
Okay.
Like that.
Yeah.
I guess so. I suppose from the start anyway, like there's a lot of like Native American myths, and some Native American tribes would kind of consider Mount Shasta to be the center of the universe.
Okay.
Which, as we know, is in fact Ashland, Virginia, just outside of Richmond. It's been scientifically proven to be the center of the universe.
Ashland, center of the universe. Ashland, Virginia, USA. Yeah, we had a theme song and everything.
So then there's other Native American legends as well, like the Hopi Native American tribe. They would have a legend that there's a vast network of caves and even a huge underground city that's under Mount Shasta.
Okay.
And the inhabitants are this reptilian race. I mean, we could literally do a whole thing on Hopi Native American legends, UFOs, reptilian races. We could do a whole thing. There's an awful lot of woo around that, so
nice.
That might be something in the future that we could talk about.
Cool.
But let's not get into it. But this is the first thing that's a persistent theme in the Mount Shasta story, that there is a underground city, you know?
The underground city part or the reptilian part or both?
Kind of both.
Okay.
Kind of both.
I did not know that this had to do with reptilian. Okay.
Well, it's only the Hopis that say there's a reptilian race, you know?
Oh, right.
As far as I know. But there's lots of other people that will say other strange things about it, you know? And I guess, I don't know where to go after this. I'm going to try and go, I guess I'll talk about this guy, J.C. Brown, you know?
All right.
So J.C. Brown is this British gold prospector, or prospector in general, yeah? Mm-hmm. And he claims that in 1904, that he was prospecting in the area of Mount Shasta, and that he found an entrance and he ended up, so he's prospecting for gold. He finds this cave and he goes into the cave, and he kind of gets a little bit lost, and then suddenly he's in this, what is it, like he just keeps going deeper and deeper into the cave, and then eventually after about 11 miles of cave stuff that's generally going down, he finds himself in this underground village, and the village is just filled with gold. You know, it's got gold. There are mummies there, and there are beings that are about 10 foot tall, and they're all walking around the place.
Ooh.
Yeah. Later on,
Luna, sweetie, go lay down.
And this story doesn't come out afterwards. He claims that this all happened in 1904, and he's working for a guy called Lord Cowdray and the Mining Company of England. So he's in there, he's prospecting, he's wandering around this cave. He goes for about 11 miles underground, mostly downhill, and this is the thing he comes around. And that's, I guess it doesn't come out until 30 years later, but this is one of the legends of the underground cities.
Okay.
You know? Yeah. So, like I said, about 30 years after this, he comes out, he tells the story, and then he puts together this team, and he's got about 80 guys.
Why does he wait 30 years?
This will come up later.
Okay.
As to why he waits 30 years.
Okay.
He puts together 80 guys, and they set out. Brown himself didn't show up and to lead the team underground into the cave.
Or what was he doing?
It's hard to say. It's hard to get a lot of information, but I would imagine he took the money and ran. You know? Because he's like, oh guys, you're not going to believe this. I was in an underground cave with 10-foot tall people, and there was like mounds of gold. Have you guys seen The Hobbit? No, wait, no, it's 1938. Listen, it's like a big cave, and it's like filled with gold. Like there's gold everywhere. So 80 people join the team, and he basically does a bunk. I would imagine he took the money and ran. You know?
Yeah.
So again, this is playing off of earlier stories with the Hopi Indians and another guy. Let's talk about the other guy actually. So, do you know what Lemuria is?
Lemuria.
Yeah, do you know what Lemuria is?
Is it a chemical?
It's not a chemical.
Is it a glow-in-the-dark thing?
No.
Is it a type of mushroom?
No. Do you want? Will I just?
Yes, just tell me.
I'll just tell you. Lemuria is like the Pacific equivalent of Atlantis.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I was never gonna get that.
Yeah, and sometimes it's referred to as well as Mu.
Oh, Mu. Yeah, I've heard of Mu.
And but the crack with Lemuria is that like it's this proposed lost continent that this guy, hang on, I have his name here, Philip Schlater. Schlater? S-C-L-A-T-E-R.
Schlater.
Philip Schlater. That Philip Schlater proposed in like 1864. And he said that like there must be a continent that's in the Pacific that acted as a land bridge because of the similarity between the fauna on Madagascar and the fauna on India. You know? And Madagascar is this island that's, you know, way out in the Indian Ocean off of Africa. And it's called after everybody's favorite primates. The, what are they called? The lemurs, yeah, exactly.
Lemurs or something.
Yeah, and he proposed it like, and it was like a, you know, it was a...
Was that before the idea of Pangea?
Yeah, it was, well, they came up with the idea of like plate tectonics and that the continents were constantly moving sometime around about the 50s. So it was taken seriously for almost 100 years, you know? Like people were like, oh, this could be a real thing.
Yeah.
But then Lemuria kind of shows up in Helena Blavatsky's kind of conception of things, you know? Do you know who Helena Blavatsky is?
Nope.
It's I'm amazed that like we've literally known each other. I guess I never really talk about this stuff out loud either. Like, have you ever?
That's why we're doing this series.
Do you know what theosophy is?
I feel like I should.
Helena Blavatsky is the founder of like theosophy, you know.
Okay.
So she started kind of working on this idea like in the 1880s, and she published books about it. And it's a kind of quasi, well, I don't know, it's hard to say. It's like a quasi-historical religious kind of movement, you know? Mm-hmm. And it was hugely popular among like the intelligentsia in Europe and stuff like that, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think I would have to look it up, but I'm pretty certain she was born in like the Russian Empire, and she ended up moving to maybe France and then the States or something like that. But I mean, we could literally do a whole thing on Helena Blavatsky as well, and her acolytes. Like one of Helena Blavatsky's acolytes is oh my god, I can't remember anything at the moment. What's that dude's name? The German guy. Waldorf schools, they call them in the States.
Montessori?
No. Anyway, whatever. We'll talk about it later. We'll work it out later. But anyway, she came up with this concept that there's like these root races. You know, there's these 7 root races, and the majority of them come from Atlantis and Lemuria. And she was building on these conceptions because they didn't know about plate tectonics and stuff like that. She was building on these conceptions that these races, what happened was that Lemuria and Atlantis fell, you know, and that these races had to distribute themselves. You know, they had to get off of these continents that were there. And then they ended up like going to, say, like some of them went to Egypt and they built the pyramids, and some of them went to, you know, the Indus Valley and became the Indus Valley civilization. Some of them ended up going to South America and Mesoamerica and building the huge pyramidal structures that you get there and that kind of thing. And also, she kind of came up with these ideas that there are ascendant masters, you know. Like there are people that are reincarnated over time, and that they hold
prophets, like
not prophets, but teachers more. Yeah, I guess they're not. Yeah, maybe they're slightly different than prophets in their conception, but they have they'll have these skills that they've developed over being reincarnated, but more importantly, having knowledge of their own reincarnation, you know?
Okay.
And they've kind of over time built it up. I'm probably getting this all wrong now. Like it's a long time since
I'm only thinking about my own tutelage in Ascendant Masters, and it's a little bit different. But yeah,
like literally the last time I was looking into Blavatsky and stuff like that was back in the 90s when I was in art college. Like. So my knowledge of it is a little bit rusty.
But it's like Jesus, Buddha.
Exactly.
I mean, there's loads of them.
Yeah.
Gandhi.
Yeah, they're all the ascended masters. Yeah, exactly. Like, and you know, they have teachings.
They've reached enlightenment, so they can.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Through this cycle of reincarnation and stuff like that, they carry knowledge all the way from continents that have literally sunk beneath the seas. You know, and they carry knowledge for humans. But this knowledge is esoteric. It is not knowledge for everybody.
Right.
Some people cannot take it, and that's just the way it is. You know? Let me just refer to my notes again. So she said that the inhabitants of Lemuria, they're about 7 foot tall, and they have underdeveloped mental powers, but they have highly developed and advanced spiritual powers.
Okay.
You know, like spiritual knowledge is more valuable than scientific or natural knowledge. You know. And she also said that they're hermaphrodite and they lay eggs.
Okay.
You know, now these are not the ascended masters. These are the root races of humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Just so we're clear on that.
It'd be funny. I can imagine Buddha laying an egg.
Yeah.
That was an interesting thought.
Rudolf Steiner is the guy I was trying to think of earlier.
Oh, Steiner, yeah.
Yeah, who founded
schools.
Steiner schools, and I think in America they might call them Waldorf schools, but I'm not.
I've heard of Steiner schools.
Yeah,
but we obviously don't pronounce it the German way.
But they are something like a Montessori. Where
it's like a gifted school.
It's
kind of.
It's not so much. It's where
they treat it like.
Yeah,
You're
I
gifted.
mean, it's children. children choose their own. It's not a bad a concept, really. Like children
No.
choose something that they're interested in, and they lead the curriculum essentially.
Right.
Steiner then wrote a series of books. I think they might have been called. I'm getting really off topic now. I think they might have been called Anthroposophy or something like this. But it builds on Blavatsky's stuff, and I don't know if there was. Gee, we could actually do a whole series on this as well.
You should be writing these down.
I shouldn't be. I digress. Like I shouldn't be getting into it now because I have no.
You have 2 pages of notes, James.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So let's talk about locals, people that live in Mount Shasta.
Okay.
So there's this guy called Frederick Spitzer Oliver, and Frederick Spitzer Oliver, sometime around about in like the mid 1890s, let's say 1895. Sometime around about then, he started receiving knowledge from various people, various spirits, and these spirits were what am I trying to say? These spirits were supposed escapees from the sunken continent of Lemuria, and they had come to Mount Shasta, and they were living in a secret city under Mount Shasta called Telos.
Okay.
Do you follow?
Fellows?
Telos, yeah, with a th, but I'm Irish, so it's very difficult for me to say that. Telos. Am I saying that right?
I don't know. I've only heard of Telos, but...
Oh, yeah, sorry, there's no th according to my notes here, yeah, sorry.
Telos, yeah.
Yeah, Telos. So it's a secret city under Mount Shasta, yeah? So he starts receiving stuff that he's doing kind of automatic writing, where he goes into a trance and he starts
He's
writing.
just writing with his eyes closed, basically.
Yeah, he's being taken over by a spirit, and he's writing what the spirit directs him to write. I don't know if he has his eyes closed.
Okay.
But so he's writing about these guys and tell us like the
so
main.
He's a medium.
He's exactly like a medium.
Can I say it the Irish way? Medium.
Medium. He's like a medium.
He's a medium.
And the main one of these is a guy called Fellows the Tibetan, but he also acts as a medium for other characters, and they tell him all about how they've escaped Lemuria, and they've settled in this subterranean city that they've built, Telos, under the mountain. And this obviously builds on the Native American Hopi stuff, where they were also speaking about an underground city.
Right.
And then I think that probably what happened here is that he wrote a series of stuff between like 1895 and his death. I couldn't really ascertain when his death was, but it was before the books were published. And they published this book, and it's called A Dweller on Two Planets. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, A Dweller on Two Planets. And that would have been published in 1806 by Frederick Spencer Oliver's mother. And that kind of exploded onto the scene,
Yeah.
And it really kind of popularized again this idea that there's an underground city under Shasta. And then I think that this guy J.C. Brown was pretty much building on that. He had been a prospector of the year, around about the time this was published. And then I think a while after that, he's like, oh yeah, now that I mention it, I actually went under and, I found a cave full of gold. You know about this cave full of gold?
Yeah, can we just acknowledge that that exploitation of Native American...
Oh, that is 100...
For a white audience.
That is 100% what's going on.
To take over the land.
That is 100% what's going on here, you know? There's other places as well that this happens, like as we were talking about it earlier in Sandia Mountain and stuff like that. Like Sandia suffers from the same thing, like in Dulce, like with the underground bases and your man Schneider fighting aliens down there and stuff. Like a lot of it is the fetishization of Native American spirituality, supposed Native American spirituality, which could be, yeah, 100%. Let's acknowledge that.
Well, they're twisting it and they're using it to
Yeah, and to a certain
profit
extent,
off
it's
of
exactly what happened with Skinwalker Ranch as well. You know, like it's easier to convince a white crystal and chakra crowd that something is deeply spiritual if you just tack on some Native American stuff to it, and it's to me personally, it's like another form of colonialism.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's colonialism of the mind and the spirit.
Yeah.
And it's appropriation, and it is, at its root, incorrect.
Right.
It's terrible. Like, it's a terrible thing to do. And it, because, like, by and large, anybody that's doing that is grifting. Like, this is a grift.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're making money off of it.
They're making money off of this. And any Native American that gets involved in it is probably just like they've seen which way the tide is going, and they're okay. So if I just show up and tell them it, you know what I mean? And
Exactly.
I mean, I don't mean to be, but like it's not a fair thing to do to a people.
No.
But yeah, 100% that's what's going on here.
Yeah.
100%. I guess the next thing to talk about as well is a kind of religious movement that's related to theosophy in a way.
But please don't cover your mouth.
Okay, sorry.
You'll have to speak up as well, because the speaker is here.
Oh, you lost your microphone.
Yeah, my microphone's dead.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess another one is the I am religious movement. Do you know?
I am?
Yeah, do you know what the I am religious movement is?
No.
It's like it's a religious movement that like started in the 30s. It was started by a guy called Guy Ballard and his wife.
Okay.
But I have not written her name down. That is some misogynist stuff. But basically Ballard was hiking around Mount Shasta,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say sometime in the late 20s or the earlier 30s, or maybe it was earlier than that.
At that time, yeah.
Yeah, at that time. And the story is that like he stopped by a stream,
Mm-hmm.
to fill up his canteen with the cool mountain water that washed down from the sacred mountain of Shasta.
Mm-hmm.
And he heard a noise behind him, and he looked behind him, and there's this guy standing there. And the guy looks like a normal, everyday dude, but there's something weird about him.
He's an alien.
He's not an alien.
Oh.
Well, he may or may not be. Who knows? I guess you could really imagine up. So he turns around and the guy is behind him, and he offers the guy a drink from his canteen, and the guy says, "I have something much more refreshing if you give me your cup." And he gives him the cup, and he fills the cup with a milk-like substance.
Oh, no.
So, I don't know.
I was actually just thinking, and then he wheezes in it, but no.
No, he fills the cup
It's
with
even worse.
a milk-like substance. A cottage cheese, perhaps. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
And he takes a drink of it, and it's the most refreshing thing ever. Like,
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that this guy that he's met is the Count of Saint Germain. You've heard of the Count of Saint Germain, right?
We've gone full circle.
The Count of Saint Germain is a huge character in the ferment of Blavatsky's Theosophy.
Ascended Masters.
Yeah, and it's he's one of the Ascended Masters. Like, he's actually in Theosophy. The Count of Saint Germain is actually the Wandering Jew. Do you know what the Wandering Jew is?
No.
Like the Wandering.
It sounds like.
This bit I do remember from Theosophy. The Wandering Jew is a guy that berated Jesus at his crucifixion and was cursed to wander the earth undying,
Wow.
And he appears in medieval Christian legends in Europe around about during the medieval period.
Is he just an anti-Semitic character?
It's hard to
Like that.
say. He's also reputed to have an elixir that gives you an elixir that allows you to live forever, that gives you the gift of immortality. But the gift of immortality then is a double-edged sword, much like it's no gift at all,
Right.
because you get to watch everyone you've ever known die,
Yeah.
and that happens in the first 0% of your immortal life, and now you wander all alone forever, like, you know.
Right.
So again, it's a little bit like the
first vampire.
Yeah, it's the first vampire. It's something like the first vampire, like, and he's a huge character in it, you know. And then basically Ballard starts this religious movement. It came to real prominence, like at the height of its powers in the 30s, and then he passes away, and then his wife takes over, but it kind of peters out, you know.
Yeah.
Essentially, like, but it builds on it builds on theosophy.
Where does that phrase come from?
What?
Peters out.
I don't know.
As an English teacher,
Yeah.
never thought about it before. Anyway, continue, please.
So that's a religious movement that's founded on Shasta, you know, and you can actually see
Ballard's theosophy.
And it's actually called the I am activity.
The I am
activity, yeah. And yeah, that's what they call it, like. And it's again, it's supposed to be these esoteric teachings of the ascendant masters, you know. I wouldn't really say it builds on theosophy and uses that as a kind of bedrock, but I wouldn't say it's theosophy, you know.
Okay.
But then, as I said, been a long time since I was looking into any of this stuff, like. But you'll often see, especially if you're like on any message boards where like people that are, you know, QAnon adherents and stuff like that, you'll see a lot of them have. It's represented by a capital I, capital A, capital M, you know? So like I am, but all capitalized. You'll see a lot of people with that in their username and stuff, and they're probably out here. Honestly.
Really?
Yeah, you just looked at me weird. Honestly, a lot of them. And it's a strange kind of... It's strange that it's still prevalent, you know? As I said, though, I haven't looked into it too much, you know.
Beyond this, yeah.
Yeah, because like, I mean, the other thing about it as well is that like, it adheres to something that's. I mean, it's comforting to think that there are ascendant masters out there, you know, secretly, and you know you have like it's like any type of esoteric knowledge, you know. It builds on it. And it comes from. It comes from its roots in these esoteric religions, you know, where as you move up through adept and disciple and stuff, as you move up through these levels, you're given more and more knowledge about the secret workings of the world, you know?
Right.
And it
like Scientology supposedly does that sort of thing.
Yeah, Scientology is based on it. And as a matter of fact, Mount Shasta is one of the volcanoes in the Scientology ferment.
Are you joking?
No, I'm not joking at all. Okay. I actually have a quote about it here.
What? Okay.
What do you know about the Scientology secret knowledge?
There are levels.
There are loads of different levels, yeah.
And then you have to like...
And you have to spend an awful lot of money to get up the levels. And when they're auditing you, these are not like psychiatrists or psychologists or even like they're not like counselors or people that are helping you deal with issues. They're people that are gathering information to blackmail you later down the road.
Right.
You know? And like if you're very successful, like Tom Cruise or whatever, then they might act like this blackmailing is your idea, and they make you a big part of the religion. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if you're just some Joe, then they're going to use the dark secrets that you've never told anyone against you, and that's a fact. And they are based on a mystery religion. Anyway, I'm going to give you off the top of my head my understanding of the operating Teton level of Scientology. There's a guy called Lord Xenu, you know?
Okay.
Somehow there's a galactic revolution. Maybe they're the bad guys, maybe they're the good guys, maybe Xenu's the bad guy, maybe he's the good guy. But anyway, Xenu is in charge of, let's say, the universe or something. and there's some bad guys, or maybe they're the good guys. As I said, I don't know. And he gets a load of DC-12 or DC-10 or some kind of airplanes, and he brings all of the people in the Galactic Federation, billions of them, and he brings them to Earth for some reason, and he stacks them around volcanoes, and then he uses nuclear bombs to blow them up, and then their souls, untethered from their physical bodies, drift around the universe, or drift around the Earth, and they attach themselves to humans, and these thetans are what makes your life, what makes you unhappy or gives you difficulty in life. That is the...
So you're saying that the cause of my depression is because a thetan attached to me?
It could be several thetans, yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
And all of them are things. I wrote down Xenu exclamation mark, and then I have a quote from your friend and mine, the wonderful L. Ron Hubbard. Do you want me to read it?
Go on.
Okay. So, simultaneously, the planted charges erupted. Atomic blasts ballooned from the craters of Loa, Vesuvius, Shasta, Washington, Fujiyama, and Etna, and many, many more, presumably all volcanoes. Arching higher and higher, up and outwards, towards the clouds they mushroomed, shot through with flashes of flame, waste and fusion. Great winds raced tumultuously across the face of the earth, spreading their tales of destruction.
Ooh.
Isn't that fantastic?
It's a great fiction writer.
Is he? Have you read his fiction?
I'm kidding. Kidding.
So that's kind of the crack with that. Like, you know, again, it's one of those places. Like I said, it's this kind of meme type thing. You know what I mean? But this idea of this underground place filled with people that are, by and large, very tall. You know, like there's stories abound about, like, if you go to Mount Shasta City, you'll see like 7 foot tall people in robes, trying to blend in while they buy provisions for the people in the underground cities and stuff like that. Like,
just really tall people in the world.
Yeah, just really tall people, I guess. I don't know why your man J.C. Brown went with 10 foot when the canon was that they were 7 foot tall, you know? But I guess that's the crack with them. The other thing then, like, is that it being in Northern California, it's right in Bigfoot's kind of wheelhouse, you know?
Oh.
Yeah, so like there's loads of Bigfoot stories, and I mean the best one that I heard was that a lady in 1962 claimed that she was out for a hike, and while she was out there she heard these kind of, you know, moaning and like someone, like a human in pain, but not quite human. And then she came to the edge of the clearing, and there was a Bigfoot giving birth in the clearing.
Wow.
Yeah. That's it. That's the end of... I've come to the end of my notes.
Really?
Yeah.
That's where you just... Oh, my God.
I thought I'd leave it there.
Did she take a photo?
People never take photos of Bigfoots, no. Well, they do. I'm only joking, like, but... I mean, 1962, you didn't have a camera on your phone or whatever, you know?
No. But I mean, I imagine that people that are out hiking would have been taking photographs as well, but I suppose it took longer to set up and all that.
Yeah, I mean, you would have needed
a bit.
But I mean, you would have
much.
needed like one of the ordinary film stock cameras, like a 35mm,
right,
16 or something, or an 8mm or something, you know.
Yeah.
I suppose that's kind of it. Like, but I mean, Mount Shasta is definitely one of those. It's an absolutely breathtaking place. Like, you can look up photos of it, and I'd imagine it's beautiful to see it. Like, and there was one of the early, you know, I suppose, colonizer accounts of when they kind of saw it from a distance, and it was so breathtaking and stuff like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have time to look that quote up again, and I'm really bad at doing notes, to be honest.
You
but yeah,
know.
they were just saying, it was something like, oh, I came over a rise and I saw the mountain like breathtaking, in the distance, etc., etc. But it really is stunning. Like, and when you look at it, you would think immediately of kind of like Mount Fuji, So
I mean, it sounds great.
Yeah, yeah.
But what is your what are your thoughts and feelings on all of these things that came about from?
I mean, like I said, I've never kind of looked, like, I have this rule, like, if like, there's certain places that become by dint of just being physically arresting, and they become, and like, this really is an amazing sight,
Yeah.
It's like this pinnacle. It's like 4,000 meters, and it's it's like, it's a breathtaking place, and then people come and they tack stuff onto it, through that mechanism we were talking about earlier, where they use like the fetishization of Native American spirituality, or supposed Native American spirituality,
Or they're so clearly just trying to make money from something that's just clearly natural.
It's 100% a grift, and like, people love it and they feel strongly about it, but that doesn't make it any less amazing a place, you know?
Right.
But then you have other things then, like, oh, it's the chakra of the world. What does that mean? What does it mean to be the chakra of the world? Do you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, it just...
Also, which chakra? Like, there's more than one.
Yeah, I mean...
Do you know?
But what does it mean to be the chakra of the world? Like, because chakras are so, as a concept, are so intimately connected with the movement of the body.
Human body.
The human body, like, and again, this is just a way of taking something that's like Ayurvedic and fetishizing it and turning it into something else, and then trying to turn that into a money-making scheme.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I'll come on down to, Phil's yoga retreat at Mount Shasta or whatever. Like, I don't mean to, like, I'm just deeply skeptical of all of this.
Right,
the whole lot of it, like,
Yeah.
But like, it's, again, that does not mean that Mount Shasta isn't an absolutely amazing place, that you can go to and have a transcendent experience because of how breathtaking and awe-inspiring the place is, But you do not need that mediated by someone in sandals. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, these are experiences that you can have, like, that transcend everyday experiences for you. And the world will be richer, or your world will be richer for having experienced them. But again, and I cannot stress this enough, anybody with real things to teach you will not be charging you money.
No.
Like, knowledge is free. It always is. And if you have to pay for it, it's not knowledge, it's a product.
Yes.
That's what it is. And if they say, oh, I need to maintain something or whatever, like, you don't need to maintain things. These are facilities for you to collect money from people. You're not maintaining, because knowledge is free. And the thing about knowledge as well is that sometimes knowledge is underwhelming. That's the thing. That's another important thing.
Can you give us an example?
Not off the top of my head, but what I'm saying is that, like, any time that there is a complicated, convoluted story that explains a spiritual fact, that may just be a story that makes it easier to impart money.
Yes.
Here is the underwhelming fact. There are no ascendant masters with secret esoteric knowledge. You are born, you experience this world, and someday you will no longer be experiencing this world. Go out there, make connections with people, Try to love as strongly as you can, as strongly as you're allowed to, and try and make these connections. And it's difficult to do that. It's difficult to overcome a lot of the noise, you know? And don't beat yourself up if that doesn't happen, you know? But go out there, live your life. You know, this is the real world, like, you know? Any book that is telling you a complicated story, you know, that has characters and stuff like that, that have knowledge, those books are not real. Real life is feeling cold sometimes, you know? Sometimes you feel sad. Sometimes you feel happy.
Yeah.
But go out there and make those connections with people, you know? And there is no secret master wearing a robe that has the stuff that's going to come along and say something to you, and it'll make your life different immediately. That is a product.
Right.
Your life is not a product, you know? Mount Shasta is a tremendously beautiful place. It's a volcanic mountain. It's amazing. Don't turn it into a product. Anytime you put a price on something like that, like on going out and experiencing life, you cheapen something by pricing it. God, I'm ranting, but you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, that is the truth. And like I said, that is an underwhelming truth. It has no hero. The only hero is you. You are the hero of your life. You know?
You don't need an ascendant master
No.
to show you. You just need to open your mind.
There-
Like, as in, you know, and I know that sounds, you know, weird, but like, if you go to a new place, you don't even have to go to a brand new place. You could go to a place that you've been 1,000 times before, but all you need to do is watch and listen. You'll find the same amazing experience as you would if you, say, went to the Himalayas or, you know, climbed Mount Everest.
Yeah.
You'd still have that experience. You just have to be open and willing to have that experience.
Yeah. That's what it is. Now is the time. Like,
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, the present is the only thing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people get wrapped up in tomorrow. But
A
really,
lot of people do, yeah.
even, I mean, I'm guilty of that as well.
100%.
But like right now is what matters, because right now is where you are.
I'm 100% guilty of that also. I mean, everybody is, you know.
It's hard to fully live in the present.
You can't, yeah, it is.
I think the only time that like it's acceptable is when we have a vacation.
Yes.
When you're on a vacation, you are absolutely present.
Yeah.
Now, if you're not, that's not to say that, you know, it's bad or you're doing it wrong. But for us, we don't plan things.
But
We don't plan our whole vacation. We don't go, okay, on this day we're going here, on this day we're going here. We just get there and then let it happen.
Yeah.
I don't think everybody does that.
Well, I do that, and you do a little bit of planning, and I'm always glad.
Accommodation.
I'm always glad.
The bare
I'm always
minimum.
glad that you do a little bit of planning, because I just get there and I'm like, hey, what's to do? You know. But yeah, no, absolutely, and it's like. That's what I'm saying as well, is that, like, do you know, like...
And only in countries where I can't speak the language. If we can speak the language, then it's no problem, but...
And I think that's kind of what I was trying to get across for me personally, is that, like, there is no answer that's going to make your life completely different. Do you know?
No.
Just get out there and like find something you love and do that. Find people you love and be with them, and you know, and learn from them.
If you feel like you're having trouble doing that, the best thing to do is to help other people.
Help other people.
When you don't feel good about yourself or your life, focus all of your energy into helping other people, and then you won't have to think about all the bad things that are going on in your life. Because you're doing something for someone else, and good things will come.
Yeah.
You don't have to be religious or anything to prescribe to that sort of thinking either.
Yeah, there are definitely people that are worse off than you, and if you help them, I mean, that's important. Like, life is hard enough without making it harder on each other.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, be understanding and get out there and be cool.
Exactly.
Just be cool.
Just be cool. And enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's easy to get negative all the time. Do you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's good to practice a bit of gratitude. You know, be thankful for what you have. But like helping other people, I think, is the one thing that gets me out of my own woe is me.
Yeah. I find when I get into a slump and I feel sad, it's because I'm not doing things. I'm not doing things about things. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I mean, like, I know there's stuff like that in my future or whatever, but I guess that's the thing, isn't it? Get out there, be nice to people, you know, live your life.
Live in the present.
Live in the present, yeah.
Well, thank you, James.
Wow, that's
quite philosophical
it
for
ended up
Theory
being a lot
Tuesday.
more philosophical than I think. But I guess that's the thing, isn't it? Like Mount Shasta is a physical location, but true peace you carry within you, you know.
Ooh. Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Well, I almost finished the section today.
You really powered through it.
Thanks. I just have that one symbol left to go, and then it's finished. Oh, ambulance. No, that was the Gardaí.
That's the Gardaí, yeah.
It's the filth. We better go.
Oh my god.
Right, so.
You haven't seen me, okay?
Thank you all so much for watching this video and joining us on this beautiful Tuesday. I hope you're all having a wonderful week so far, and we wish you the best week ahead. And until next time, we'll say goodbye. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.